An empty pizza box, an empty table. Seeing my neighbor's porch light across the street through the window. Oh yeah, this is the suburban life, although the ambiance does make this a little unsettling, doesn't it? Hello everyone, and welcome back once again to Gary's Mod. And today, the map we're going to be exploring is Northberry. It's described as a liminal suburban map from the creator of maps I played before, such as GM Viscera and Underground Complex, Subterranean Complex, as well as numerous others. And man, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the fact that this room just seems a little bit too wide for all that's in it? Maybe it's the empty pizza box indicating we've just missed a party, like we've just shooed all our friends out the door for the night. Maybe it's being able to see the lights on across the street, yet knowing this place is totally empty, or maybe it's the fact that this is also normal and it's just got that heavy, bassy sound rumbling over everything. It's like being in a dream. It's the rushing water that you can always hear, building your sense of dread, even when there's nothing outwardly wrong with it. Well, let's get exploring. That is quite a large window to have right next to the toilet. I mean, I suppose it's got some shutters on it, but still, what was ever its purpose? Now, I don't know if each of these houses in the neighborhood is going to be explorable, but I believe it will be quite extensive. Here's our bedroom. Seems our laundry is freshly folded, and this does actually look quite cozy. We probably can't turn the lights off, but just imagine lying in here, turning out the lights, and just sitting here in the faint glow from the streetlight and the neighbors across the street. This map has got, like, all the coziness of Suburbia. It's just that ambiance that's making me feel like my fight or flight is being triggered, like something is gonna happen, like there's some imminent danger, and everybody got the memo but me. I don't see anything going on out there. Of course, the elephant in the room is gonna be the ladder going up to the attic. Ooh. Oh my god, I want it. I was expecting something spooky. This is beautiful. Look, we've got the stars painted on the walls. I can imagine doing those as those glow-in-the-dark plasticky things you stick on there. And we've just got our nice little attic gaming setup over here. Imagine just chilling with your feet up, a game or a stream going, in a Discord call with your friends, and listening to the rain patter on the roof. You've even got a little bed right here so that you can watch it in the skylight. Oh, I love this place so much. We can come over here with the lights off and spy on the neighbors across the street, which is a real thing I used to do with my cousins during Christmas gatherings, but don't worry about that. Now from here, can we get an idea of where we're going? Ooh. Is it just me, or are those fences all down? Actually, it looks like that whole house is quite abandoned. Okay, well, I know where I'm going first. And on top of all this, there's an Urbex location literally right across the street. This is actually my dream house. Oh look, we can see that mist passing by in the starry night sky above. It's when I see stuff like this that I realize how much light pollution is taken from us, because when I step outside, I certainly don't see stars. Unless a bird drops a rock on my head. Okay, now the ambiance has shifted. Seems more like a typical suburban night. Which is not a reference, but you get the idea. Let's have a look at what's going on over here. It seems like there are actually a lot of houses on this block, but I imagine those that are occupied are not the ones we can enter, or, well, at least not the ones that seem to be occupied. Actually, I'm now realizing, if we look onto the horizon, there are actually tall buildings out there, but totally dark. That is so weird. That is not something I'm used to seeing. Tall buildings with all their lights out, silhouetted against a slightly brighter sky. Well, that one's going. Is there just an entire abandoned section of the city? It just looks so wrong. Alright, I am procrastinating going to the abandoned house, because I imagine that's where a lot of spookiness will be located. But there's plenty to go around at this gas station. It's strange to see one with no canopy. And much like my house, this place is not making the most use of its space, or its shelves for that matter, or its cash register. I will say, though, it is its own vibe, just kind of strolling into a 7-Eleven at 3 a.m. to grab some beef jerky. I mean, that's something I feel like COVID really took from us, and I'm grateful for the places that still do, like 24-hour service. Something I'm really sad that I never really got to experience was 24-hour diners. I mean, just imagine going out with pals in the middle of the night and just kind of sitting in a booth by a window. Actually, it's only now that I'm consciously registering that there are some cars left behind. So that's a little bit strange. I can see smoke coming out of the chimneys, which is yet another sign of habitation. But still, I can't help but get kind of a toy box feel from all this, you know? Like all of this is fake, like all of this is for me. It's like I fell asleep and woke up in an identical but not neighborhood. And I'm honestly not sure if the world I left is the dream or if this one is. Alright, but this is our house, so let's creep back around and see what's in there. And of course you can't do anything in an abandoned place without peeking past those shutters to see if we can get a glimpse beyond the windows. Ooh. Yep, that place is thoroughly abandoned. What if we go around the back? Wow, this place is really falling apart. You know it's bad when there's actually huge holes in the walls. Look at that. This place is crumbling. It is in much worse shape than it at first appeared. And of course, with no insulation, with all these holes, we can still hear that nighttime ambiance outside. Look at this. We've got all this debris, grass growing up through the floor. I'm just trying to picture what this place would have been like, and it's kind of cool. You can see that effort has been made to show that. But you can also see how people have kind of moved in. I bet this place has kind of become the neighborhood hangout spot. Okay, we've got to climb that beam probably to get upstairs. Wow, did this place not have its own staircase? How did you get up here before this? Yep, okay, right here. You know, it's really weird. We're in the highest and most open part of this whole structure, and now the birds and the crickets have cut out? Looks like someone's been having lonely times here just recently. Imagine just across from my own attic window. Oh God. Imagine if through all my gaming sessions in the middle of the night, somebody was watching. I mean, I suppose that's what I get for my comment about watching the neighbors. That's creepypasta fuel right there. Somebody talks about people watching and then finds out they're being people watched themselves. I guess we'll start then. If we want to do this systematically with the street behind our own house, because we should be looking in windows to see which ones we can enter. That house right there seems a prime candidate. Now, you can tell a lot about a person by the way they decorate their house. You can tell that this person is a heavy smoker because they painted their house like a Newport light box. Oh wow, with all the reflections on the TV, for a second I thought it was actually on. But look. We don't have to imagine anymore, because if we have a look around, we can see that it is actually the same exact layout as the abandoned house. Only this guy's doing some pretty hip things with this. The pink glowing out of these lights actually kind of reminds me of Fever Dream. More maps by this creator. That creak was not the door. But look at this. This is my kind of room. Bed right here, computer in the other corner, and a window right beside. Not too big. I don't like my space to be too big. I think that's like the one major problem that I would have with the attic, is that I would constantly be looking over my shoulder. Mitigated somewhat by the stars, because those would give you a sense of depth when you look around the dark room. You have got hedgerows behind your house. I'm pretty sure that was a wooden creak, but it sounded a little bit like a growl, and I did not like it. What about you? This is so cool. These houses aren't just cookie cutter. They're actually all different. And it's like I said before, you can tell a lot about a person by the way they keep their house. This one's a bit more traditional. We've got wallpaper and wainscoting, and a nice old piano in the corner. It's a house made for different kinds of get-togethers, but I can imagine they're quite cozy ones indeed. But of course, everyone's got to have the bedroom computer set up. I can just imagine lying on the bed and just turning the monitor to face me. But for some reason, nobody in this town has heard of a staircase. Yep. Their attic is quite bare. And no less creaky. For a second, I was just very aware of the darkness in that corner, and the second I looked over there, did you hear what sounded like an explosion somewhere? That would actually be really freaky. Oh god, I mean, I'll be honest, I had started to explore this more as comfy than creepy, but that's the kind of thing that makes me wonder if I'm really even alone on the map. We're getting back to the roots of Garry's Mod creepiness with this. See, the thing about these hatches and attics is that if you were to actually do something with this space, anytime someone comes up here, you are going to scare the crap out of them. You're literally climbing up through a hole in the floor. Let me down. These ladders are behaving pretty smoothly. Oh, also, I have added a new mod to the list of mods that I use for these explorations. I have no idea if these stairs are clipped or not, but there is one that sort of auto-smooths it out a bit. It's not as good as them being clipped, but it does at least do something. Okay, I believe this is probably the corner of the map. So I'm curious at what'll happen if we try to wander off into the woods. Wow, that fog is actually really, really thick the second we step off the street. It's letting us go a decent ways in. Okay, there's a fence over here that we cannot move beyond. Look at that, the whole city glowing on the horizon. Which is actually creepy in its own right, and I'm not sure which is worse. I mean, well, the empty ones have got to be worse. The idea of an entire city downtown being completely empty. But still, there's something much more, I think, unfriendly about seeing all those lights, about cities in general at night. If you did this in a real town, you'd probably get police called on you, just kind of walking through people's backyards with a flashlight. Oh, but I don't think we've been in this house. Ah, we've circled back to the gas station. Bit of a different design on this one. Nice. Got bar stools all around the counter, plenty of space, a whole bar right here where you can keep your various drinks. Yeah, I don't know what it is. I walk into a house and all I can think of is, what is the vibe when entertaining guests? Office? Oh, this seems to be like a kid's room from the look of that bed. And this is an adult's bed with very kiddie wallpaper. I mean, these wood floors and furniture, the light in one corner of the room, the only source except for the window. This is actually making me think of something really specific, and it was something that I didn't know was missing from life until I experienced it for the first time in years. So we're used to having all kinds of like electronic distractions in our room. When I go to bed, when I turn out my light at night, I see the glow from like the RGB inside whichever of my two computers are doing some kind of task, usually rendering overnight. I see like, formerly the clock on the cable box, the regular clock that's on the other side of the room. It's just so many lights and just gizmos. And it wasn't until I slept in a room that had none of that I realized what a different experience it is. I mean, I almost can't go back. I'm always doing like 8 different things at once. I'm always multitasking, even when I'm at play rather than work. And it is so bizarre. It feels wrong, but it feels good when you actually slow down to that degree. But I think now we'll start making our way down this way, unless there's something in the dark beyond the gas station. Nope, I think that's the edge, but actually I can barely see the dark outline of a house over there, so it's like that whole section of the city just doesn't have power. Let's hop your railing and climb on inside because, I mean, we're like a video game protagonist. We just kind of do whatever we want. And everybody in this world just has so much space. I mean, personally, my whole thing when I'm looking for a house is I need a lot of floor space for VR. Just some extra bedroom, even a living area that I can just say, nothing is going in here. This is all going to be for VR shenanigans. A place like this would be pretty nice. I don't know why. Every one of these videos that takes place in a relatively mundane location, it just always ends with me house hunting or talking about house hunting. I want my own place, can you tell? Okay, there's the abandoned house, so okay, I know where I am. We are taking this place little by little, but I think the only thing in this area that I have not checked out yet is that little number over there. Oh, look at this. We've got a little park just right in the middle of the neighborhood. Now, this is something I'm really not used to seeing where I'm from. The closest thing we've got is the school playgrounds, which they kind of just let people use, not during school hours. But to have all this just right here amid the houses, just think about that. If you live here, you've got your kids, you've got all your kids' friends living in these houses. and they can just step outside anytime they want and just cross the street to go play. Parents can watch them from the windows even, or sit and talk to each other on the park benches. This is really nice. This is what, like, residential planning should be like. What I'm used to is more like Frogger. It's sink or swim, honestly. It's just education for the real world. Now this right here is a bachelor pad. Big empty space and a pool table and a bar right in the middle. I do kind of like how, like, even though the structure of the houses is the same, there are modifications. Like, the walls are sometimes laid out a bit differently. Obviously, the furniture is laid out differently, different styles. So it's not all just cut and paste. You get the very realistic impression of suburbs where they all start from the same cookie-cutter design. And over the years, people have kind of done their own thing with them. Like, for example, in my neighborhood, there's sort of like the base structure that every house has. And even though after 50, 60 years, a lot of them look very different, if you look, you can still kind of see it. How they're all built off of the same skeleton. That's that. And now we start moving to the other side of town. Look at that, just a public parking space right here in the middle. I don't think I've ever seen anything like this. This is like a fantasy suburbia map, not just a liminal one. But I have to say, I'm a really big fan of having all these streetlights, but also they seem like weirdly dense. Weirdly dense and weirdly old-timey, and it's so strange to see them right next to these like big, imposing, like almost Walmart lights that they would have in the parking lots. It's like a weird mix of like the modern and the quaint old style of residential. Oh, carpeted floors. We're on good terms with this guy already. But I doubt there'll be much more to see in a place like this. Yep. And yep. I'm kind of torn. Do I move down that way, or do I start with over here? And look, that looks like a smokestack, towers. Having all that just in amid the trees as silhouettes is kind of spooky, I'm not gonna lie. Ooh, you've got a bit of a different layout. What have you got going on in here? This is weird. Like, you've got your couch right here watching the TV, sure. But with your back to all of this, this does seem like an extremely social space, but it's very segmented. And I don't know if that's, like, weird or if I really like it. I mean, this place is built for parties, I'll give it that. You know what? I'm just going to come down on the side of I like it. I like it when I can kind of recharge my batteries and step away from the action for a little bit. When I can just kind of pick a corner and stay there and kind of engage or re-engage at will. Make it so that little circles form instead of one big conversation where nobody is really able to get a word in themselves. If you're going to be hosting this many people, though, you're going to need a cleaner bathroom than this. And preferably more than one. Unless you want your bushes to be fertilized. The absolute contrast between bathrooms is staggering. Notice you don't have a toilet in here, though, so that's a little bit strange. Look, there's the spot right there. You could put one right there. Also, everybody takes baths in this world. Nobody showers, which is not quite as sanitary, even if it is more relaxing. Now, this is on me, but I expected this to be a back door, so when it opened up into a bedroom, it was a little taken aback. Is this Megan's room from Drake and Josh? Why do you have all these computers and such in here? That's funny. It's almost like you're the mastermind surveying this whole place. I see that vent over there. I see that vent. I don't know why I keep looking at the bed as if a hypothetical child mastermind is sitting in it. But, come on. Nope. Nope. Always a little bit difficult in VR. Come on now. Wait, let's try it this way. Huh, I don't think this is actually going to open. I'm shocked. A vent wedged in a corner on a source map, and it doesn't open? Well, we're obviously going to have to go outside and see if there really is anything to it. Come on. Nope, that really is it. And now you've lured me back into the spooky backyard. Oh, look, we can see just the silhouettes of so much back there. Actually, there's a smokestack and a tall mountain even beyond there. And with that darkness, maybe we're backing onto the park from GM Viscera. It's actually kind of cool, the variety of different maps by this creator. Like I had mentioned in the last one that there's kind of always a subterranean complex, even if only one of them is called Subterranean complex. Oh, I think it's... Oh my god, I think it's a mannequin. Do you see that? After all this time of there being no one to be looking up in that window, trying to get a feel for like what the looks are in there, and then just being like, is that a reflection? And then squinting more and like resolving, wait, that's a person's shape, and then getting closer and realizing, oh, it's a mannequin. Okay, this is something I don't talk enough about, but it's something that I really feel like deserves attention in horror, is the moment where you think you see something, and you're just kind of looking at it for a long time, and then you get your jump scare after like 30 seconds of that when you realize that there really is something. That the thing you thought you see actually is there. Hereditary did a really good job with that, if you want to see a movie example. Oh, this place is actually quite run down. Run down. But clearly occupied. Someone's lit a bunch of candles. Somebody didn't pay their bills. Look at those tally marks on the wall. Is that the length of time you've been staying here? This place has got a squatter. I mean, I'll give them points for setting a mood, but it's kind of strange how much they've done and how much they haven't bothered to clean up. Oh, look at that stain. Well, we've got to climb to the attic now. And I know every house we've been in is creaked and groaned in such a way, but knowing that there's a representation of a person, that someone is staying here and we have not seen them yet, it actually kind of, I'll be honest, it kind of makes it feel like this is a job for the safety Glock. Oh, oh my god! Okay, I knew there was one of you. I didn't expect there to be a whole gathering. Who is doing this? I mean, I doubt this place was abandoned with all of them here. And for that matter, when you're drawing attention like this, how hasn't anyone seen this? I was talking about how great all these places would be for hosting a gathering. This is the first one we've actually seen. This is so creepy. And they're right there to greet you as you climb on up. Wait. Imagine... Okay, let's go. Because I just had a really horrifying thought. What if those tally marks actually did line up with the number of mannequins in the attic? What if there's one for every curious person who's gone up to see what's going on in the dark abandoned house that suddenly has lights on inside? How about we get on out of here? Looks like the reason we haven't found anyone is because the whole town showed up to the hippest place in town. Okay, just a couple more houses and then I think we're done. Kind of cool how there's just like several distinct styles of architecture in all this. Probably want to be empty-handed when we go into here. See, now this is a little creepier. The bare white walls, the hallway in the back, and yet still weirdly open. Oh, you've got a little mudroom on the side. Oh, never mind. Yeah, leading to a garage. That's kind of neat. You're the only person in town that doesn't rely on the public parking space. There we are. I mean, I'm just saying, you guys could have so many more amenities for the space, the sheer floor space that these houses provide. And yet none of you can find the room for a shower. I think that's about it for here. And I think I saw another one, yep, right down the street there. There's a couple of porta potties outside, one of which has been vandalized. Now, the raccoons have certainly been having a field day with this place. What's going on in there? Well, I mean, I guess it makes sense. It's undergoing renovations if those things are outside. Okay, this is... I don't like the way the light is catching all the dust in the air. Making me feel like I'm in some kind of haunted house maze. With all the sounds, every place feels like it has people living in the ceiling. And we've only confirmed one place with people living in the ceiling. That's the weirdest thing. I remember when my house was being renovated years and years ago. I was up in the new addition. They basically added an entire floor, and it was all drywall and plywood floors. And I was tasked with vacuuming up one of those rooms up there, and I was all alone in the top two floors of the house, and I was just so creeped out, I just couldn't do it. Well, I can see what this is going to be, or what they're tearing it down from being. God, it's like they position these lights in just such a way that I'll see a silhouette go around a corner at the most inopportune time for my bowels. Now would be the time to see a shadowy figure rush past the window, so I'm just going to leave and not give them the opportunity. You know, it's kind of weird. Every time you enter one of these places, like this started out so cozy, and it's still really cozy anytime you're out on the street. But knowing what's going on in so many of these houses, you can't help but feel eyes on you as you walk down these sidewalks. Waterfront Market. I think this is probably gonna be the last spot on the map. Once again, a lot of bare shelf space, but hey, at least there's some merchandise still around. Although it seems to be entirely drinks. I suppose a town like this could run its economy on that, considering everybody has a home bar. Okay, this doesn't seem to open that garage door. What's back here? You know, it figures that even the convenience store has just the coolest hangout spot ever in the back. See, here's the thing. I am of two minds when it comes to the night shift. I've always thought that I would be really well suited to a role like that because, you know, I'm just a night owl in general, and I am a creepy, comfy enjoyer certifiably. But if I were to do it with, like, a couple of coworkers, that would be just the ideal job for me. If we can just, like, all chill together in a break room in between doing our tasks, lit by the glow of the drink machine right behind us that we sometimes get from, that sounds amazing. But I think that's about all we've got to see here. Well, I am seeing one thing that's really strange here. Look at how this street just terminates. Although, I will say that may not be as unrealistic as it seems. I've done a lot of just, like, looking around on Google Earth. I'll just street view random towns when I'm bored. And, I mean, there are cities where, like, you can see deprecated streets that are just, like, in the middle of nowhere or colliding into each other. So that other playground was the result of some campaigning, I bet. This seems to be the old deprecated one. Although, I will say, I do sort of appreciate the ambiance a bit. Having this one all fenced in, you know, if you were to repair that fence, it'd be a fun little spot to just kind of chill, especially at night. Actually, I'm going to campaign for mayor in a town, and I'm going to campaign on the promise that we will build 2 of every playground. One for the kids, and another for the teens to hang out in at night. Because, sure, they could hang out anywhere, and sure, they make trouble when they're around the kids' areas. But for the vibes, it's got to be playground-shaped at the very least. I think crime will plummet if I'm allowed to enact this policy. Oh, it's a house we haven't been in. And it does have an attic. I don't know how we missed this one. Oh, hey, look at that! We found the one person in town who knows what stairs are. Oh. I think this might be one of those drop-down stairs. Alright. Well, you still get points. I mean, you know, cavemen discovered fire, but I don't think they built combustion engines. Doesn't mean we give them crap for it. You know, something I think about all the time is, like, the first person who looked at wild horses in a field, and he was like, "Hey, Bill, see those things over there? Yeah? I'm gonna learn to ride one, and I'll be able to just jet around so fast." And they were all like, "Okay, Bill." And then imagine the looks on their faces when he actually did it. Now is a bad time to run out of things to talk about, because that meant that I just kind of had to sit in my own head a little bit while I walked through here and listened to the wood creaking. Well, at least this person sorta gets the idea of insulation, so that's kind of nice. But honestly, if you're gonna put the stairs in like this, do what I did in my house. Make it a living space. Do something with it, man. Because attics turned into bedrooms are some of the coziest places on Earth, I tell you what. There's so few places around me that are actually pedestrian friendly, and so when I see stuff like this, I get unreasonably excited about it. But as we take our nightly stroll down the block, comforted by the lack of people and the abundance of crickets and cicadas and birds, that was GM Northberry. And this was a lot of fun. I mean, it's kind of like all the things we wish we could do while going for a stroll at night. You ever do that? You just kind of walk down the sidewalk and sort of glance into people's windows. Obviously not, stopping and staring. And you don't want them to think you're looking. But you do wonder about what's going on in there, what the architecture of their house is like, what the people who live there are like, what they're watching on the TV, which I try to spy more often than I care to admit. This is sort of fulfilling that fantasy. Not only in terms of being able to enter any house we wish, but also in terms of what we find in them. It's actually being able to stumble into those creepy mysteries, There actually is weird stuff going on, just out of view of the normalcy. But you gotta look to find it. But I don't actually expect to find anything, but of course we'll go for a noclip run. It's kind of tradition at this point, even if the map isn't a crazy labyrinth. And look. From up here, from our drone's eye view, we can see just how much of this is dark. It's really only one corner of the cityscape that's lit up. This is actually kind of reminding me of when I was really young, and my dad brought home a copy of The Sims on PC. And I remember looking at the box, and I was, holding open the cover. You know those covers that had, the little cardboard flap that you opened it up and you could see, screenshots and descriptions and stuff? I was fascinated by it, but looking at it, I couldn't really understand what it was. I mean, it was like little Barbies as far as I could tell, and years later I understand that's kind of what it is, but I was like, okay, well, this box is kind of big. Is all of this, little miniatures that are in the box? What's going on? It almost felt like the little model town from, Beetlejuice or something, and that's the vibe that I get when I'm flying over all this, when I'm actually seeing a suburb lit up at night from a bird's eye view. I had an unreasonable amount of fun with this for how simple it is, but, that's the beauty of Gary's Mod. And that's why I think there is such, an art form to just environment creation, of just creating an environment that expresses a certain vibe or idea. Honestly, using Hammer, to me, is almost therapeutic at times, and I wonder if other map makers ever get the same impression. But as I retire to my awesome attic abode, if you like this video, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe for more creepy and comfy content. If you have any ideas for other videos you think I should do, the best place to suggest that will be at the Discord, which I will link in the description. If you want to try this map out for yourself, that link will also be in the description. If you want to support me on Patreon, that link will be in the description. And as always, I will see you in the next one. Meantime, back to the Discord call.